Auburn basketball fans have been sitting on pins and needles for JT Thor to make his NBA future decision since March. Now, via his Instagram, he has finally confirmed where he will be playing this upcoming season. Let's take a look at his decision and what it means for Bruce Pearl and company. My name is Kyle, the owner and editor of the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. Our content and our podcast network may tend to be Auburn sports heavy, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Check out the links in the description for ways to help support our content, and thank you to the members of the Booster Club like Joe Rudolph who help produce videos like this. JT announced earlier this spring, about March, that he would explore the NBA draft. The key thing is, though, without an agent. That means that he could potentially have come back to the Auburn Tigers for the 2021-2022 season, which would have been an outstanding addition to the roster that has already added so many big names. A lot of people think that the Tigers are getting geared up to make a potential run deep into the NCAA tournament, barring if there's any probation issues out there that we don't know about yet, that kind of like we got stunned with at the beginning of last season. Hopefully that's not the case. So there's been one spot available, and there's some debate on this, how many spots are actually available for which players, but there was always one spot at least still available on the roster for JT Thor, should he have chose to come back after originally announcing to go explore the NBA draft. Well, now, unfortunately, in some ways, but fortunately in others, because this is a kind of a seesaw effect for Auburn fans trying to understand that this is a good and a bad thing all at the same time, JT Thor has announced on his Instagram account that he will be signing with Next Level Sports Management. So, officially, he is signing with an agent, which now makes him, in essence, ineligible to come back to Auburn. More on that in just a second, though. I just want to say, though, that the impact that this guy had in one season as an Auburn Tiger is absolutely incredible. At 6'2" in a forward position, some would argue he's a small forward because of his size, but because of his height and the way he plays, some people would argue that he's a power forward. He scored about 9.4 points per game, 5 rebounds, and at least almost 2 blocks per game as a true freshman. So that's a pretty big impact that he got, and especially because he was a starter pretty much the entire season. So you can really tell that Auburn's going to be missing a guy like JT Thor, surely from the talent alone, but from the contributions that he made as a whole to the roster. Now, I do want to address this because I think that the next thing I say can be taken a little bit out of context, but I just want to make sure that we address all angles of this discussion. So apparently there is an NCAA rule dating back to 2019 where draft prospects can sign with an agent and still maintain their college eligibility. However, they must terminate all agreements with an agency if they don't get drafted. So I will say this, though. A lot of people are saying that JT Thor has decided, regardless of whether he goes drafted or not, that he is going to pursue his future NBA prospects and his professional basketball prospects outside of Auburn, and this is the end of the road for the relationship. So I don't want to, make you think that there's still an outside chance that JT Thor could come back. I mean, anything can happen, obviously. If there's still a spot available for him, who knows? But the understanding apparently is out there that JT Thor and Auburn have parted ways, and on good terms. And I think Bruce Pearl has done a great job of showing respect and showing support for players to leave when they feel like now is the time to do that. So there are a couple of implications for Auburn that I do want to discuss because of JT Thor's decision to remain in the draft, to sign with an agency, and hopefully to get drafted. So implication number one is the program outlook. What does JT Thor's decision mean about the program as a whole? Now, there are several ways that you could look at this, and you can either be really optimistic or you can be pessimistic about this, but just some things that I know people are thinking about. Is he not hopeful for what the team will do this year? There's a lot of people very excited about the transfers like Walker Kessler, Desi Seals, and many others that have been brought in and what it means Auburn could be building toward this season in and of itself. So I wonder if some people are going to start thinking that maybe he's not hopeful about what they can actually do. I don't think that's the case either. There's also going to be this worry, are there more probation issues? Last year's sitting out of the postseason kind of came as a shock to a lot of Auburn fans, and I think it kind of rocked our stability in terms of thinking, well, is there more out there we just don't know about? I don't know of anything, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But I understand that sometimes this can affect the program outlook. Why would you leave a team that looks like it's set up for success for at least next season and not long term if it means you can win a championship and even increase your NBA stock when it may not, in some people's eyes, be as high as they hoped it would be for you. Implication number 2, the roster changes. So obviously with him leaving, this is one less forward that we have on the team. However, this is a team that is not lacking in forward, center, big man talent whatsoever. Guards, that's another story. And let's be honest, JT Thor was really good, and he kind of played as a really tall guard at times. So if you want to flip it that way, you can. But in terms of his traditional position and what he provides for the team, there's plenty of talent left. There's also a spot open still for him, and does that mean that Auburn has someone out there that can fill? The people that I talk to, I'm not hearing that there's a specific name out there. Now, if there's a elite name that came available that wanted to transfer in or reclassify or something like that, obviously that probably would take them hands down. I would like personally, and I've said this for a long time, even on our live streams, for us to go after another guard option, specifically a point guard option to continue to build the depth up there. But we don't know if we are hearing anybody that might take advantage of that open spot at Auburn. The last implication for Auburn is the NBA reputation that Auburn is building. Now think about this. Chuma Okeke, Isaac Okoro, and now obviously Sharif. Everyone's expecting him to get drafted. The question is just where, and probably where in the first round will he go. And now JT Thor. So not only is this 3 straight years of, and we're expecting at least Sharif to get drafted, a draftee going for the Auburn Tigers in the actual draft itself. And if you send 2 this year, imagine what that's going to do for your reputation as a program, that's going to do for potential recruits coming down the line who really want to participate in a Bruce Pearl-led program. And don't even forget about Jared Harper and Bryce Brown. Jared's shown a staying power in the NBA, albeit kind of temporary at times, and Bryce has not really stuck. But he's shown, an ability to turn heads in the NBA and at least have people consider him. So that's 5, 6 potentially names out there that Auburn is very much associated with right now in the NBA that they can point to and say, look, we can get you in the crosshairs, in the eyes of the NBA scouts, the NBA teams, the NBA coaches, and potentially get you there in the NBA draft. So now the main question that we have is, where does JT Thor end up in the NBA draft if he does get drafted? And I have full confidence that he was. I think that he's probably got the best information possible for him to make the right decision for himself, and if he feels like this is what he needs to do, I support him in that, and I do think that he'll have success in that. So now I want to know from you in the comment section below, tell me, where do you think JT Thor will end up in the draft? If you enjoyed this content, please help support it by smashing that like button. If you want more content from us, be sure to hit the subscribe and notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live stream. There are also ways to help support us listed in the description of this video, such as the E2C Network Booster Club. Thank you for tuning in to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.